So I've already talked about simulation theory before and how we are possibly living inside of a simulation right now, which is, I don't know, some people believe it's 50-50, depending on what scientists you're listening to. And I mean, again, obviously they're all theories, but there is a good possibility, there's a chance that we live inside of a simulation. So right now we are inside of a simulation because some previous human race, basically like a previous us, already advanced so much technologically, or it could even be aliens or something else or whatever, but somebody advanced enough to create a simulation, and we all exist inside that simulation as characters. So it's basically like a video game. We all live inside of the Matrix, one giant video game, and now we're in this simulation. We're also advancing, obviously, as humans, and we're creating new technology, and we have access to like anything we want, basically. So you have that access, and everyone has a cell phone now, like literally everyone, whether you're wealthy or poor. There's like so many people who have cell phones every single day. They're using it. I'm sure there's a small minority who are not using it, or whatever, if you're one of those nature idealist people, or I guess maybe the Amish, they don't have phones, but like in general, let's say the majority of the population, I'm going to say majority, have a cell phone, and we're all on social media, and we're all scrolling, we're all doing our doom scrolling, whatever. So what if us being in the simulation, we're actually also controlling the simulation, right? Because like the simulation was created, it's this weird complex thing, and then we talk about like simulation within a simulation, but what operates our simulation? So if we all have cell phones, we're all just programs, individuals are programs inside of the matrix, which is the simulation, basically, right? So we're all individuals, but we're all still connected. We're all part of the same simulation. And I guess if we have free will or whatever, we're still on our cell phones. And so what if our cell phones, like our technology that we're actually using, is directly tied into the simulation itself? And so basically the way you interact with your technology and your doom scrollings and the things you follow, the people you follow, the stuff you research, is in a sense, it's what changes the simulation or controls the simulation. So as a human race, as a collective, we are literally, you know, manifesting our own simulation, I guess you could say. And you don't even realize it, but like, everyone's on their phone. And like that is the simulation. We're in the simulation, but also controlling our simulation. And so by scrolling stuff and like, if you're following kind of like a good vibe on social media, maybe if you're into like the good stuff, the humor stuff, like the positive stuff, maybe that kind of guides the simulation towards one direction. If you're constantly being negative or creating negative content or like watching negative stuff, that kind of guides the simulation more into a negative direction, maybe for all of us or maybe just some of us. Like we control the simulation as a whole, but you also control the simulation on an individual basis. It's kind of like the whole concept of like controlling your life, because obviously you're in control of your own life, but then again, that's the whole question of free will inside of a simulation. Do you even have free will? But let's say you do, to a certain extent. So you are controlling your own simulation. So what I mean by that, for example, let's say you want to be wealthy and you're doing stuff to be wealthy, but at the same time, if you're specifically using technology on social media and you're like guiding that program in your algorithm, that's the key word there. So like the algorithm of your cell phone inside of your social media, that algorithm is what actually on a deeper level controls your simulation. And on a bigger picture, humanity as a whole, our entire simulation is controlled by those tiny minor interactions on social media and technology in general, computer, tablets, cell phones, whatever. So as we sit there scrolling, we are creating our own future, not just on a singular basis, like on an individual basis, but also as a collective. So if you I mean, if you're watching hate and you're following hate and you're creating hate, that could be like affecting the simulation on a bigger scale so that we end up going towards hate. The more you do that, the more wars there are, the more disparity between the rich and poor and the good and the evil and all that. It's like whatever you watch on social media, whatever you scroll, basically, whatever your algorithm manifests for you is slowly also manifesting the collective. So, yeah, that would be crazy. So let's say, like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to think the majority of humans are good by nature. But again, what is nature if we're inside of a simulation? We were just created. We're just programs. But let's say, let's say whoever created this program created it at a level of like 51% good, 49% evil, at least, if not more. Most likely it's higher than that. Or maybe it's perfectly balanced and we have to create our own percentage of good versus evil or whatever. But the point is, like, let's say inherently, I mean, you generally, if people are better and in the long term, I mean, if good over evil wins, so it's like we kind of, we're on this path, but we're also controlling our own path as a collective. And so the more good that you put out into your algorithm and your simulation, your individual personal simulation, it also reflects the bigger simulation, which, I mean, that kind of makes sense on a regular. I mean, let's say if it wasn't a simulation, that's exactly what people would say. Yeah, be good, be a good person and do good. And then you'll have a good life and the world will become a better place. But again, thinking of it on a simulation aspect, a simulation level, we are inside creating this simulation because technology has advanced so much we don't even realize how deep we are within it. And maybe maybe the actual technology that we are, like our own algorithm. Oh my god, okay, so how about your own algorithm, or as a collective, our algorithm as a collective in this society is what's like creating the next simulation in a sense. What if, like, so we're so deep in it already, and you have your algorithms and everybody on an individual basis. We have this collective AI. We're creating this ginormous, weird system, virtual system, which it is what it is. I mean, we're all on social media. We're all watching stuff, creating stuff, following stuff, talking about that stuff. And so eventually, that algorithm that we are basically creating with the help of AI or whatever, that becomes the next simulation. We create a new simulation within this simulation, but all it is our algorithms combined, manifested, advanced through AI, and poof, suddenly you have the next generation of a simulation. And maybe that's how it works. Do we create the simulation continuum where it's just like simulation after simulation, and we guide each simulation ever so slowly through our own algorithms? So you got the individual algorithm and the collective algorithm. Yeah, that sounds like some pretty wacky shit. And like, what about traveling from simulation? Can you kind of connect from simulation to simulation? Can you cross between simulations? Like, do you have to? Is it like a life and death thing? Do you have to be born and then die? Are you limited to one simulation? Are we stuck inside of this? Obviously, again, this is just assuming that this is all a simulation. Obviously, throw everything else out the window. Let's just, specifically for the sake of this argument, we're just talking about it is a simulation. So if it is, are you bound within your own simulation? You're born into your own simulation. You die within your own simulation, kind of like that whole Matrix thing. Or is there a way to cross between simulations? And then others would call that dimensions or whatever. Maybe that's a different word you want to use. Can you cross between one simulation to another? But if if the simulations are linear and you're going from, linear, like it's a old classic Nintendo game, you're just going left to right. You can't really, there's no there's no 3D aspect to it. But then again, maybe there is. Like, can you travel to a different simulation? Can you cross between the simulation wall? And I mean, I guess it doesn't have to technically be linear. I mean, if all these simulations are running concurrently at the same time, where in the simulation are you? And where in the simulation is, I don't know. Is that like time travel? I don't know what that is, but it's like you're crossing from simulation to another simulation. And I mean, in theory, obviously, if if simulations are possible and if this is a simulation, why wouldn't you be able to travel between simulations? The whole time travel thing, in a sense, you're crossing between them. People say that happens all the time, and then that touches on to the whole Mandela effect. Like, why do we see things differently? We think we remember stuff being like this, and there's so many classic, very classic, well-known Mandela effects, like the fact of Mandela himself. A lot of people thought he died years ago in South Africa. Other people, knew that he did not die in jail. He lived on for many, many more years. Then there's that classic kids book, what is it, the Berenstein Bears? Some people think it's like Berenstain Bears or Berenstein Bears, so it's like the AI, and it's just a couple letter difference. And then the Fruit of the Loom thing, whatever, with the cornucopia, whether that was, I just saw a new one actually. It was a Disney one too. Something about Tinkerbell was never actually in the Disney logo flying around at the beginning of the movies. Man, there's so many Mandela effects, but what if like that's one of the signs, right? People say it's like a deja vu thing. These are like simulation glitches, or where your simulation is adjusted. Maybe that's what if we are the ones who cause it? So every time, again, you're on your social media, you're on your algorithms, our collective algorithm, maybe our collective algorithm is what causes those Mandela effects. What if we are the cause on a good scale or a bad scale? Maybe there is a way to even change that. People, I mean, oh man, wacky high ideas. Okay, so you can change. Maybe, I mean, I heard, I don't even know where I heard this, but something about changing the past, where future events can somehow affect the past. I don't even remember what the hell I'm talking about. But anyways, so what if, as the collective, you can not only, like I said, it's like we're creating our simulation, but you can change it on a weird fundamental level. And that's what like a simple Mandela effect is. You have like these minor changes, but what if there are like major ones as well? Like, if how does that work? If enough of us believe something, are we able to like somehow manifest that giant change in the simulation? Maybe that's what it is. Like, you just, as a collective, it's like you're choosing what to believe or what to change, what to adjust. And that's why you always have these differing opinions, obviously, which you'll always have that. But it's like a shift, a global shift. And so if enough people believe something, good or evil or whatever, even if it's basic scientific, what if it's something like on such a fundamental level? You see all these crazy conspiracy theories. People are talking about it nonstop about everything. You have people who say we didn't actually go to the moon. We didn't have the technology. Then there's a lot of people saying that's ridiculous. We did. There's people who actually believe the earth is flat. So I'm not talking about what sounds crazy and doesn't. Let's just, for the sake of the argument, again, this is just a simulation. So the entire thing is preposterous to begin with. But however, let's just say, if you're inside the simulation, if a simulation is just a program and it can be manipulated and changed on a fundamental basic level, what if that is literally how it works? So if enough of us believe that we didn't go to the moon, are we able to somehow rewrite our history? And then that's what happens. Maybe like 20 years from now, enough people are going to say we never went to the moon. And then it's going to actually shift us. It's like this whole dimensional shift or simulation shift into another simulation. So we're in like this other time frame where the moon landing never actually did happen. And maybe that's what every single Mandela effect is. It's just a shift from one simulation to the next, or one dimension to the next. So when you have these weird Mandela effects and you think, oh, I remember it differently, we're going to get to a point, maybe we're going to shift our entire civilization. Every life on this planet is going to shift where we never actually did go to the moon. And then people are going to be like talking about that. It's like, if you're going to look at the history, you're going to look at the textbooks, you're going to look at like social media, you're going to look online, and you're going to be like, where's all the moon stuff? And it's going to be like, what are you talking about? Like, well, we went to the moon. And then the majority is going to be like, no, we didn't. We never did. And that's just going to become another Mandela effect. People are going to be like, dude, we went to the moon. I know we went to the moon. It was on TV and all that. And it's like, you're going to think you're going crazy, because it's like this entire segment of reality has shifted and changed. So the majority are going to be like, no, we never did. And maybe you can apply that. Maybe we can physically manifest that reality into this simulation. And maybe even more bizarre, like if enough people believe the earth is flat, is there a way to somehow, okay, that one's way more, that one sounds way more kooky. Are we bound by the laws of physics? Clearly, there must be certain limitations to this simulation manipulation, if you will. So maybe that can't really happen, but maybe it could. I mean, I don't know. Oh, man, that's so. Oh, this philosophy crap is fascinating to think about. I love it. Oh man. So yeah. So back to the shifting. Maybe you can shift certain things. So like you can shift that belief, like that action. So maybe there's universal elements to the simulation. You're bound with to a certain limit because of science and physics. So you can shift certain things. So a belief or an action or event that we did, because again, we're just simulating, we're just a program, it's just programming, but you're bound within the laws of this physical program. So you can't change, gravity, so-called, light and matter and darkness and speed of light and this and that, all those things. You can't manipulate those. You can't change those basic fundamental elements. But as the program itself, what we know as a race of beings, what we know and understand can be manipulated and changed. So we can actually change our history, our future, everything. So, I mean, think about it. For the longest time, people keep saying the Egyptians built the pyramids. Now that doesn't seem feasible at all. We're finding structures way older than the pyramids, ginormous structures that can't even be explained really, like how they were created, and we just accept it. It's like, yeah, no big deal. But it's like, it is a big deal. So we slowly, and maybe these changes happen slow. Maybe it happens fast sometimes, maybe it happens slow sometimes. Like the nuclear weapons, those atom bombs, whatever, like the US dropped them on Japan. Maybe in another realm, in another dimension, in another simulation version, whatever you want to call it. Maybe like this world was destroyed by nukes. Maybe that war, maybe the nukes were never even dropped at all. And like 50 years from now, people are going to remember things differently. So yeah, maybe it's going to be a simulation, a Mandela deja vu effect, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be like we never went to the moon. And if people believe it, becomes our reality. And anything else, like crazy. I mean, how far back do you want to go? You can even go like, I don't know, the assassination of Lincoln, JFK. You can change as a society. You believe enough to shift the actual physical history of our realm. So you believe enough, you'll just change. Everybody will just remember it differently. And what is remember? I mean, what is memory, anyways? It's just, again, if it's a simulation, it's just part of your programming. It's like a hard drive in a computer. It can easily be erased and written over again, which is exactly what the simulation technically would be. It would be like it would be like a software update. You go to sleep, your memory gets wiped, and the new memory gets installed in the simulation. And who controls that? Who is it? It's the majority, because there's no actual entity on the outside. It's not like God looking in and changing those things, right? It's a simulation. The simulation was somehow created with the help of AI, some futuristic, super advanced simulation that we can't even understand. We're all just players inside it, you know. And as a player, you think you have free will and choices and all that stuff, but we're still part of the simulation, and you do on an individual basis, I guess. But we're also connected in a very complex, complicated way. And so we are the ones who are doing that. We are literally writing our history, but also rewriting. We shape the future of our simulation, and then we can literally manipulate the past and even change that. So another example, like we have that, it's all over social media, it's in the news. You have that weird asteroid comet coming towards the planet, right? So let's say, as a collective, you have two groups, people who say, yeah, it's just an asteroid, it's coming towards Earth and it's going to arrive here soon or whatever. And then you have another group of people who are like dead set on it being aliens, and the science is not matching up. It's not making, the math isn't mathing and this and that. And people are already talking about weird like signatures of this thing. It's not acting like a comet or an asteroid or whatever. It's got like weird energy signatures. It's got chemicals that don't match up and this and that. So what if that's exactly a perfect example of where like this asteroid is aliens coming to Earth, towards Earth? But again, it's up to us, right? If you have the majority believe it's an asteroid, it will be an asteroid. It'll just pass by Earth in the next X amount of time, whenever it's supposed to do that. I don't know. But if enough of us believe it's actually aliens, and that we like basically manifest that into our simulation, we put that out into the algorithm, we put that out into the simulation, and the majority just kind of overpowers that thought process, and that information becomes the new simulation, and that simulation is created with an asteroid, or I mean a spaceship of aliens coming towards us. So we choose that outcome. And maybe it goes by like common sense stuff, simplicity stuff. Like if enough people want something to happen, it'll just happen. So do you want aliens to, you know, come to Earth? Maybe it'll be aliens. If you want it to be an asteroid, it'll be an asteroid. And again, historically too, I mean, like, maybe that's why so much, maybe we've already done it too. Maybe that's why history doesn't make sense. We've been doing these weird shifts. Maybe that's why the pyramids don't make sense. We don't know exactly. We don't understand. We just kind of like act like it's no big deal, or we just whatever. It's in the past. But what if that is significant? Like, we said the Egyptians built the pyramids 2,000 years ago, 2,500, whatever it is. But what if we are the ones who actually changed that history? What if we knew of something previous? What if it was like another, simulation dimension or a shift or whatever? What if there were advanced civilizations or creatures or whatever that created ancient Egypt or whatever? All these, it's not just Egypt, all over the world. You have these old monuments and Göbekli Tepe, whatever, in Turkey and all that. So you have like a history, the real history, or just an altered history. It's not about real versus unreal. Again, it's just a simulation that we live in, and we manipulate it, we process it, we adjust it as a whole. And maybe we knew the answer. Maybe we knew exactly how the pyramids were built so many years ago, but as a collective, we chose to forget. Maybe we chose to forget it because we didn't like it. Maybe we just forgot about it or chose to manipulate it and give that credit to humans and Egyptians. And what if like there's like a deja vu aspect to maybe somebody out there somewhere believes and knows it to be true, and they know the true history because like they haven't, it's like their Mandela effect. It hasn't changed for them yet. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm just too high and ranting like crazy. Or maybe your mom